Well, greetings and salutations, imagination connoisseurs. Once again, welcome back to the John Campea Show, the greatest entertainment news show on the World Wide Web. I am, in fact, your host, Robert Meyer Burnett, because our fearless leaders traveling the highways and byways of the land. I've got Jonathan Voico right here.
It's true.
Producing
I'm here.
the show.
I'm right here, everybody. Fear not. Fear
But
not.
you think he's not here, but he is here. He's all the way in central Kansas, Hays, Kansas, to be exact. Mr. John Campea is here.
Wild hay fields of Kansas. Actually, almost literally, I'm in a place called Hays, Kansas today, looking for any baby-laden comets that have fallen from the sky. I have found none. I am on my way to Leawood, Kansas, right beside Kansas City for our movie meetup tonight. Very excited. And yeah, it's been a good day so far. Lots of driving, but it has all been fantastic.
Well, we got to start this show because you have people to meet, places to go, and barbecue to eat. So
Yes,
the first, we have a really interesting story right off the top about Wicked for Good. Wicked for Good shatters Fandango's best first day ticket pre-seller records. Pre-sales records. Pre-seller? It says pre-seller here. Pre-sales. You know what, Jonathan? This is amazing. Fandango announced today that Universal Pictures' cinematic event, Wicked for Good, is now Fandango's best first-day ticket pre-seller of 2025, surpassing Demon Slayer, Taylor Swift, the official release party of a Showgirl, and Superman. And it now ranks among Fandango's top 10 best all-time first-day ticket pre-sellers, which includes blockbusters like Avengers Endgame, Spider-Man No Way Home, Taylor Swift The Eras Tour, and others. Additionally, the film is the best PG-rated first-day ticket pre-seller of all time on the platform, surpassing Frozen, The Lion King, K-pop Demon Hunters sing-along event. Well, this does not surprise me at all because you got women, you got moms, you got girls, you got families, you got everybody. I mean, this is a 4-quadrant film, and people love the first one, and now that everybody's caught up with it on streaming or wherever you saw it, everyone's going to go see this movie. Don't you think that's true, John?
Well, I mean, part of it doesn't surprise me, but one part really does. Like, okay, being the biggest first day advance ticket sales for 2025, I'm not completely surprised by that because, you know, Superman did well, but it made like $600 and something million. You know, Demon Slayer did well for what it was. It's so for Wicked to be the number one first day ticket seller, especially since this is the kind of movie that the people who are into it are going to buy their tickets as soon as they go on sale. So I'm not surprised about that. I'm also not surprised about it being the biggest first day ticket seller for a PG movie, not to be confused with PG-13. But here's the part that does surprise me, Rob. The part where it said it's top 10 all time for first day ticket sales. Top 10 all time. Now, look, I still don't think Wicked for Good is going to hit the $1 billion mark because the first one, I mean, it did very well, but it fell quite short of the $1 billion mark. So, I mean, I still think this movie is going to be a big hit. I still think people are going to love it. I still think it's going to get some Oscar noms, all that kind of stuff. Again, I'm not the audience for Wicked, but even I quite enjoyed the first one. I thought it was really quite nice. And I think this is going to be a big hit. I still don't think the $1 billion mark, but that one part of the stats, the fact that it is a top 10 all-time first day ticket sales, that's impressive. But again, I think it's mitigated by the fact that it's the kind of fan base that are all going to buy their tickets as soon as they go on sale. So I still don't think $1 billion film, but Rob, still really, really impressive.
Very impressive. And also, you know, obviously it is front loaded. Because all of your Wicked fans are they're gonna roll out that first weekend. They can't get it soon enough. It'll be interesting to see how it does play. But I would imagine, obviously, this film isn't exactly the happy film that the first one was. You know, this film gets a little dark, and it doesn't end on a really particularly happy note. So it's going to be interesting.
To be fair, I mean, the same could kind of be said about the first film. There's some pretty dark, sad, miserable, depressing things in it,
true.
Right? I mean, even in the first film, when she's singing, "Think I'll try defying gravity," that's literally her being.
That was amazing.
It's almost as if Cynthia Erivo was here in the show.
Honestly, you got to be on Canada's Got Talent.
I am Canada's Got Talent.
If you dance, if you combine your singing with your dancing, then you're going to have
then
something.
That's too much. Then it's too much. But I mean, even that song, the big highlight of it, is literally the scene of her being run out of the kingdom.
It's true.
Well, and our goat friend being thrown into a cage, our goat teacher.
Yeah, I mean, some pretty dark stuff happens there. So I don't know the stage play, so I have no idea what's going to happen in the second film, but I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting. Look, whenever somebody is excited about movies coming out, it's good for everybody.
It is. All right, what's next?
Well, I think this is pretty dope. So Warner Brothers, we knew this was coming. We knew they were talking. We knew they were going to dinner discussing whether or not they were going to make this movie, but it is now official. If I can speak. George Clooney says that Ocean's 12, the budget was just approved, which means it's probably less than Heat 2 is going to be, and will probably start filming next year. Brad Pitt, Julia Roberts are more than likely to return. George Clooney recently told E! News that Ocean's 14 is likely going to film next year with the original franchise stars Julia Roberts, Brad Pitt, Matt Damon, and Don Cheadle are expected to return because you got to have Basher. The Oscar winner first teased that there was a great script for Ocean's 14 in 2023. Variety reported at the start of the year that the Fall Guy and Bullet Train filmmaker David Leitch was boarding the crime caper to direct. Great choice. If Soderbergh's not doing it, that's a great choice to direct. We just got the budget approved at Warner Brothers, and we're trying to set it up. Clooney now confirmed it's just scheduling, so it's just setting a start date for us, probably starting about 9 or 10 months shooting. For myself, John, I love this franchise. I didn't love 12 as much, but I think Ocean's 11 is a stone classic.
Yeah.
And I love Ocean's 13, too, because you got Al Pacino. And what a great use of a big cast. I love a big star-studded cast. We don't get many of these. Maybe somebody will remake Cannonball Run after this because we need that too. But I'm really excited for this. I even liked Ocean's 8, and I think this is really a good franchise. And this cast, obviously we've lost Carl Reiner and Bernie Mac. Mm-hmm. Somebody had said, I remember reading years ago that they said they couldn't do another one without Bernie Mac, which I understand. Carl Reiner and Bernie Mac were great additions to this. I hope Scott Conn and Casey Affleck come back. I'm excited. What about you?
Listen, I am a sucker for heist films. Everybody knows them. And the Ocean's films are right up there at the top of that entire genre for me. And I know, bring Vincent Cassel back.
Yeah.
I mean, you listen, I will stand with you on that. I like the Sandra Bullock Ocean's movie.
I do too.
I'm not saying it's on par with like Ocean's 11. I'm not saying it's like one of the best movies. I'm not saying that, but I found that to be a pretty enjoyable little film. Now, I don't know if they have any plans to cross over the characters from the Sandra Bullock one or not, because apparently Sandra Bullock's character thinks George Clooney's character is dead. What are they going to do with that? I have no idea. But I think you nailed it right off the beginning there, Rob. I think the biggest hurdle to getting this done was that budget. I don't think Brad Pitt is going to do this movie for Brad Pitt money. I don't think George Clooney is going to do this movie for George Clooney money. This seems to me like everybody involved, because I mean, look at this cast, right? I think everybody involved probably said, hey, whatever, we just want to do this.
Yeah.
So what, I mean, pay us, but I mean, we don't have to get our regular going rate for this. And I think you're right. I think this is going to be a budget that comes in under what Heat 2 is going to cost. I think it's a movie that, while not an $800 million movie, I think it's going to make more than Heat 2. And I think there'll be more people interested in seeing this. I mean, you bring in Don Cheadle back and all that. Listen,
Elliot Gould can come back.
Oh my God. Again, I would love to see Vince Cassel. Look, these are just fun movies, right? They're not etched in the Mount Rushmore of Hollywood or anything like that, but good, fun heist movies. And listen, the way Apple screwed over that Wolves movie with George Clooney and Brad Pitt, that was a fun little film too. I love the chemistry between George Clooney and Brad Pitt. So yeah, put that on screen. It's not going to be my top 3 most anticipated film of the year, but I'm glad it's getting made and I'm pretty excited about checking it out.
Me too.
All right. What's next?
Well, At the beginning of the year, it looked like these two people, Pam Abdy and Mike DeLuca, they were on the chopping block. And when we went to CinemaCon, it was pretty interesting that they both presented Warner Brothers' upcoming slate to all the theater owners, which some people speculated in Hollywood that might have been their swan song. But how quickly people's fortunes can change, beginning with the Roy Lee-produced Minecraft, which made almost $1 billion. They have had banger after banger after banger. They've had 8 films open at number 1. 7 of those films opened at number 1 with more than $40 million. Pam Abdy and Mike DeLuca have had their contracts renewed. A few months ago, Hollywood was convinced that Mike DeLuca, this comes to us from Variety, and Pam Abdy were about to be fired as co-heads of the Warner Brothers Pictures concern. What a difference a few hits and one epic comeback can make. On Wednesday, Warner Brothers Discovery chief David Zaslav confirmed in an internal note to staff that DeLuca and Abdy's contracts were being renewed for an unspecified amount of time. When I first arrived at the studio, recommitting this storied company to its theatrical roots, renewing Warner Brothers' long-standing role as a home for the world's best storytellers, and reestablishing this iconic studio to its position as an industry leader in terms of quality and box office success were among my key objectives, Zaslav wrote. Bringing Mike and Pam, I love that, Mike and Pam, on to lead this team was an important step to achieve those goals, and I'm excited to share with you that we have re-upped their deal to enable them to continue the stellar work, and this team will do over the next several years, bringing the very best movies to cinemas around the world. John, this might be a good time to point out, since it's October, that Mike DeLuca wrote the screenplay for John Carpenter's In the Mouth of Madness while he was an executive at Warner Brothers. And you would be happy to know that Arrow is just releasing it on 4K. Anyway, that's just an aside. Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdy now have, they're secure, at least for an unspecified amount of time. John, what do you think about this?
Well, I mean, look, I think a big key thing here, too, is that those 7 films in a row that they opened to over $40 million is an all-time Hollywood record. That's an all-time record for a major studio. They set the record with 6, and then they extended it to 7. And then, of course, the record got broken when, as we expected, One Battle After Another did not make $40 million on its opening weekend. And we expected that and whatever. Yeah, listen, and I'll tell you what this is. This is a reward. And it's a golden parachute reward. Because what this deal does is that if, as the whispers going around Hollywood are, if Paramount makes a move to acquire Warner Brothers, guess what comes along with getting Warner Brothers? The contractual obligations Warner Brothers has to everybody. This deal, I think that Zaslav just gave Abdy and DeLuca, is a, hey, if Paramount comes in and they decide they want to clean house, guess who gets a huge payout? You two guys. I think that's what this deal is. This deal is a reward to them and a safety net for them. So if Paramount does come in and decide to clean house, they're going to get paid. They're going to get paid big. And I guarantee you that's written into those contracts. This is David Zaslav rewarding them for work well done. Now, there's also another option here too. When you look at the way DeLuca and Abdy with Zaslav have completely turned this studio around from the garbage depths that Warner Brothers was in when they were owned by AT&T. Remember, this company shouldn't even still exist. This company should have gone under with the trajectory and the damage that was done to the entire company when it was owned by AT&T. The second option, though, is not just that this is a reward and a golden parachute just in case Paramount may want to get rid of them, in which case they'll get paid tons of money. But it could also be something to make Warner Brothers more attractive to a potential buyer.
Yeah.
Because listen, Rob, there's a scenario here that you could get Ellison come in here with Paramount and buy Warner Brothers, and then boom, DeLuca and Abdy are not just running Warner Brothers studios, they're running Paramount as well. So this could be something that Zaslav has orchestrated that serves 2 purposes. One, it's a reward and a safety net for DeLuca and Abdy in case Paramount wants to make changes or anybody else who might come along and buy them. And number 2, it actually makes the company more attractive because look, we got these record-breaking executives now here under contract for another period of time, and they could be yours if you want to come in and pay us our purchase price. So either whatever way you cut this is brilliant strategy. I'm happy for DeLuca. I like seeing success get rewarded. So this is kind of good to see. What do you think it is, Rob? What do you think the main underlying thing here was for them to get these deals?
Well, I think you nailed it. I mean, the thing about Mike DeLuca is he made his bones. He started out as a young executive at New Line, which Warner Brothers acquired in the late 80s. You know, he is a longtime veteran of, I mean, he was with New Line all during its success with the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, or at least the end of it, and then of course all in the 90s movies like The Mask, the Lord of the Rings franchise. He was there. So he's one of the most experienced, and same with Pam Abdy. They're two of the most experienced veteran producers that have actually, well, really produced movies. And of course, as I pointed out, Mike DeLuca has written a movie. So these are really experienced veteran. They're not just studio heads, but they are people that understand how movies are actually made. So they have great value in terms of what they're able to do and how they understand things. And also, I was frankly surprised at their performance at CinemaCon. They did a great job showing us the Warner Brothers upcoming slate. So they're very, very gifted people, and you wouldn't want to get rid of them because there are not a lot of executives in Hollywood that are the kind of executives that they are. And I think you're right. I think the point you made about if you wanted people to run two studios, they could absolutely do it. I don't like the idea. I don't want to see Paramount. I don't want to see Skydance buy Warner Brothers. I want Warner Brothers to stay in its own entity, an independent entity. I really do. But hey, I think this is a good move all the way around. And, you know, I don't know if David Zaslav would survive that kind of a merger anyway. So I think this is his way. It's kind of a legacy for him. He's not just making sure that they're there, but he's also making sure that it was David Zaslav himself who put them in this position. So,
yeah. Listen, if Paramount takes over Warner Brothers, there's no place for David Zaslav because he's not the studio head. He's the head of the corporation.
Yeah.
Right. So you don't need the head of the other corporation. There's no room for him there. And so I think he's trying to get as much as he can for Warner Brothers, and he's trying to position and reward the people who have gotten them to this point, which I think is great. So that's looking good. All right. That down, guys. We've got breaking news. Jonathan, you may want to load up Variety.
All right.
Variety is reporting that Minecraft 2 is now official.
Oh my God, you gotta be kidding me.
Minecraft 2 is now officially in the works. Again, not a big surprise for anybody. This is a movie that just about made $1 billion. I mean, so no shock and surprise. And it wasn't even all that good of a movie. And it still made almost $1 billion. I'm going to read here what Variety is writing here. To the surprise of nobody in Hollywood, Warner Brothers has greenlit a sequel to the nearly $1 billion smash Minecraft. Minecraft 2, they've even got a release date, is currently in the works and slated to be released in theaters on July 23rd, 2027. So a little over a year and a half from now, we're going to be getting more chicken zombie jockeys.
Chicken jockey.
Whatever.
Riding out.
Coming, more work for Jack Black, more work for Jason Momoa. Look, who's surprised? Who's surprised by this? This little thing, we're just talking about Warner Brothers and DeLuca and Abdy, and they slid that little project out.
Mm-hmm.
And it made made well over 900, came really close to the $1 billion mark. I don't know that the second one will make $1 billion, but it's going to make a lot of money. This is an absolute no-brainer. And I'll tell you what, I'm not the biggest fan of this movie. I don't think it was terrible. I don't think it was terrible, but whatever. I didn't think it was all that good. But there were elements. There were building blocks, if you will. See what I did there?
Mm-hmm.
There were building blocks there that if they can build on that and, improve on those things, you could not only just make a really profitable movie, you could make a movie that actually ends up being pretty decent, pretty good. I like Jason Momoa's character. I like Jack Black's character. So if they tone down some of the really stupid ridiculousness and weigh in a little bit more into some of the other stuff, still make it very lighthearted, still make it very silly, still make it very fun, you could end up with a film that is both really profitable and pretty darn good. So I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, Rob, you're hearing about this. Any surprise for you at all that this thing's getting made?
About as surprising as water being wet, John. No, I mean, I think that this is absolutely, this was a fait accompli. There was no way they weren't going to make a sequel to this movie. No way. I mean, they're probably already designing the popcorn buckets. So I think that not surprising at all. And at least Pam Abdy and Mike DeLuca are going to be around for another 2 years, I guess, to oversee this cash cow. So, hey, I think it's a good move all the way around. I hope for all of you Minecraft fans, they come up with a great, maybe they'll give you the Empire Strikes Back or the Godfather 2 or the Road Warrior of Minecraft movies with this sequel. Who knows?
Think probably all three of those wrapped
all
together.
combined into one.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you left out Citizen Kane.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there was never a sequel. I was just
this will be it then. It'll be a new one of a kind.
Think Lawrence of Arabia Part 2.
Oh, yeah. Can you imagine chicken jockeys in the desert,
Yes.
riding out? It'd be like the Ride of the Rohirrim, but with chicken jockeys. It'd be
the
amazing.
camera always panning from left to right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. What's next?
All right. We got a little Peacemaker talk, Rob. What are your predictions for this upcoming finale?
Pain. No, what do I actually? Yes, pain. Look, the Peacemaker finale is tonight. I think universes will collide. I think universes will end. I think the status quo of the DC universe will never be the same. I think would
you say, Rob, that the hierarchy of power in the DCU is about to change?
I think something's going to happen big, because it's James Gunn has said that this leads in directly into Man of Tomorrow, and maybe something, we're supposed to get a big cameo. Does that mean a cameo from somebody that we've already met before or somebody we have yet to meet? Could it be somebody like Brainiac? I don't know. I have no idea. All I know is I'm going to have a smile on my face no matter what happens. The last 2 episodes of this show have made me extremely happy. I've watched them multiple times. I think this is going to end on a big note, John. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, well, okay. Obviously, very excited. I'm going to be watching it late because I've got the movie meetup first. So I'll be doing Tron Ares first with the folks in Kansas, and I'm really excited about that. And then I'll get in the van, watch me some Peacemaker. Here are my final predictions. I'm sure I'm probably off, and I'm sure I'm probably wrong, but here they are. Number 1, I think I have settled on the big cameo being Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn. I think that's what I've settled on. I think we've seen Flag Senior going to the prisons already. I think we're going to, because, here's the thing. I don't think that Brainiac can be the big cameo. I've rested on that because you can't call something a big cameo when the cameo is going to be somebody that probably 30 or 40% of the viewing audience won't even know who it is.
Unless the actor playing him is somebody we've never.
Sure. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I hadn't really considered that. But I think if it was going to be like, I don't know, an Arnold Schwarzenegger or a Sylvester Stallone, who James Gunn does like to work with, or a Michael Caine or a whatever, I think we would have heard of that by now. So I think there's still a lot of other possibilities, but I think with everything that James Gunn has said, I think a character and an actor who would qualify as a big cameo, I think I'm expecting tonight, and I don't know this. I mean, I'm just speculating like every fan, but my guess is it's going to end up being Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn. So that's the first final prediction I have for tonight. The second final prediction I have is this: Peacemaker dies. I think Chris dies, and I think he's going to die the way he always wanted to, as a hero, and in a way that the world is going to see that he's a hero. that even Rick Flag Sr. is going to go, that was a hero. I think because that's really been the whole crux of his personal journey, right? This season has been like, I've always been the joke. I screw everything up. Everybody I get close to dies. Like, all I've ever wanted was to be a real hero. I think he's going to get that. And I think he's going to get it at the end of the line. I think he dies. And I think that's why there's been no talk of a Peacemaker season 3, despite the insane ratings bump. I think now, again, I have not heard this from anybody. I am just as an average fan speculating. Could very well be that he ends with a big smile on his face, kissing the girl, and then Peacemaker 3 coming in 2027 pops up on the screen, for all I know. But those are my big 2 guesses, Rob, that Margot Robbie's going to show up as Harley Quinn and that Peacemaker dies.
Those are some bold predictions, John. You know what? There's only a few hours left, and you're in the future. So you could see him before we can.
I am in the future. Actually, I'm 2 hours ahead of you right now.
That's right.
I've been driving across timelines. Anyway, so guys, what do you think? Do you guys have some big, bold final predictions? I could probably be way off on both of those, but those are my guesses. Do you guys have any bold ones? Jump into our comments section below and let us know if you have any big predictions for the finale. All right. What's next?
Well, what's next? Knives Out 4 is not next, apparently. Rian Johnson talks movie sequel plans and says, well, this comes to us. Where does this come to us from, Jonathan?
This is superhero hype.
Superhero hype says, with Wake Up Dead Man and Knives Out Mystery debuting at the BFI London Film Festival, attention is turned to the future of Rian Johnson's acclaimed murder mystery franchise. While the filmmaker called the new film his most personal yet, he admitted he has no plans for Knives Out 4, which, remember, John, as we all know, when Netflix took this franchise over, they only contracted for 2 movies. So we got Glass Onion and Wake Up Dead Man, leaving audiences curious about what's next for Detective Benoit Blanc. Rian Johnson opened the BFI London Film Festival with Wake Up Dead Man and Knives Out Mystery, describing it as his most personal film to date. And it's set for release on December 12th. The ensemble cast includes Glenn Close, Josh Brolin, Kerry Washington, Andrew Scott, Mila Kunis, Daryl McCormick. Johnson told The Hollywood Reporter that Wake Up Dead Man explores themes of faith and religion inspired by his own upbringing. But Knives Out 4, Johnson admitted he has no plans, adding, I got nothing. And if you have anything, I'll take it. Well, people, I want all of you to inundate Rian Johnson with your ideas about what Knives Out 4. Send him your scripts. Actually, don't do that. And don't say I even mentioned that on live YouTube, because that would be bad. But yeah, that's really, look, it makes sense. They only contracted for 2. They were successful. It's a trilogy. But you know what, John? Don't you love this franchise? Wouldn't you like to see more Benoit Blanc?
I would love to see more Benoit Blanc. I honestly, because the great thing about Benoit Blanc is that Daniel Craig can play him till he's 80.
Yeah.
He really can, because he's not an action hero.
Yeah.
Right. So we could live in a world where it becomes clockwork. Every 2 years, we get a new Benoit Blanc mystery. I would love that. Now, it's important to point out that, he's saying he's got no plans, but he's got no plans yet. He's not saying I've planned that there's no more. He's saying, as far as the Knives Out 4, I've got no plans. So there's nothing on the books. Because as Rob pointed out correctly, it was only a 2-picture deal with Netflix. Now, maybe there'll be options to re-up, whatever. I would bet you anything, Rob, though, is if Netflix wanted to make more, I'll bet you Rian Johnson's going to write into the deal they got to be theatrically released.
Yeah.
And not just this 2-weekend thing. I bet you he'd probably want to put into the deal that it's that. And then, or, maybe Netflix just goes, we're done. We did our 2 films. And now Rian Johnson and his producers can take it somewhere else. Maybe take it to Luca and Abdy. Maybe take it over to the House of Mouse. Maybe take it over to somebody else that will then want to take Knives Out and keep rolling with it.
I could see that. I think that's a really interesting idea, because they fulfilled their contract. Unless Netflix has a right of first refusal, right? They're free and clear. It'd be really interesting to see this franchise go theatrical, then to Netflix, then back to theatrical. I could see Amazon picking this one up.
Oh, 100%. And listen, to your point, I think you're absolutely right. I guarantee you that when Netflix signed the 2-film deal, they absolutely put an option in there to continue doing more. So it's going to be about whether or not Rian Johnson says, okay, great, but if we do more with you, we want these things to have proper theatrical runs. We don't want them dropping in just a couple of select theaters and then on Netflix right away. We want it to have a full, robust theatrical run, and then you can put it on Netflix. And then it's just going to be about whether Netflix agrees to that or not.
Yeah.
So but I would love it, man. I would love it. I have loved the first 2 films. Rian Johnson is such a great filmmaker. I mean, look, I want to see one of these every 2 years. I'm even looking forward to the day to see new directors take the character and do other interesting things with it as well. I just want to see Daniel Craig playing him, and I want to see it for the next 20 years.
Well, now that Rian Johnson seems to be out of a job, John, what does that mean for his Star Wars trilogy?
Yeah. I don't know why they keep pretending like there's any hope that's going to happen. There's no hope that happens. Okay, but I will say this.
Rebellions are built on hope, John.
I never would have
I
believed
can't believe you just said that.
people at Lucasfilm would be so stupid that they would consider making a Rey movie. And I say this as somebody who really likes Daisy Ridley, and as somebody who really likes the Rey character in general. Like, I love the building blocks of the character, but that character is the most divisive thing. She represents the most divisive. Well, yeah, the prequels weren't divisive. The universe hated them at the time, at any rate. But like, these movies have been like the most divisive. Rey, the character. So I never would have thought they'd be so stupid as to try to maybe get a Rey movie going. And yet here we are. I don't believe there's any chance that this Rian Johnson Star Wars thing's ever happened. So stick on with the Knives Out world. Stick with Benoit Blanc, man, because it's a treasure that you're making, and I want to see more. All right. What's next?
What's next? Well, I never thought I'd see this, but Jonathan Majors, Kang himself, reveals his plan to return as Kang in the MCU.
How dastardly.
Look, I have to say, I think Jonathan Majors is an electrifying performer. I really do. I don't know if they did right by Kang or He Who Shall Not Be Named or He Who Lives at the End or whoever. The Council of Kangs. Are they coming back? I think Jonathan Majors would like it if he did. But he revealed his plan to return as Kang the Conqueror in the Marvel Cinematic Universe following his controversial exit. Majors made his MCU debut in Loki Season 1, Episode 6, as He Who Remains, a Kang variant who won the Multiversal War and the Guardian of the Sacred Timeline. While he was killed by Sylvie in the finale, the actor returned as Kang the Conqueror in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, but was ultimately defeated by Scott Lang and Hope Van Dyne. So if those kinds of people are defeating you, how powerful are you anyway? But I digress. Still, Majors Kang was set up as the Multiverse Saga's big bad, but serious changes or charges against the actor emerged, which completely derailed his MCU trajectory. In December 2023, Majors was found guilty of assault after a 2-week-long criminal trial. The verdict came out.
Let's just skip to the next paragraph where we actually see what he had to say.
Oh, right here.
Well, speaking in an interview with The Sun in September of 2025, Jonathan Majors played coy about a possible return to the MCU as Kang the Conqueror, but he did reveal his potential plan for a comeback, citing that there's always the multiverse to consider. I cannot say anything about that. So I guess he didn't reveal his plan. Well, it's a multiverse, so there's always that. Always a lot of opportunity for that. So this story...
Then he says more. If you look down the article
here we go.
further.
You got to give it to me, man. While not all Marvel... of course I say yes. Disney Marvel Studios, I love them. Tom Hiddleston, loved working with that guy. I loved working with Paul Rudd. Loved working with Gugu Mbatha-Raw. What's not to love? While not all Marvel stars have opened up about Majors firing, as Creed 3 co-star Michael B. Jordan was vocal about his support for Majors. But he's doing great. Just got engaged. I'm proud of his resilience and his strength through it all and his handling of it. I'm glad he's good. That's my boy. I mean, come on. If Killmonger, if he says he's your boy, I don't know. I mean, look, I like him as a performer. I do think the Kang character was botched overall. You can't have a big bad who's been defeated twice before by various variants unless if they reconceptualize him and bring him back. I mean, you know, the Kang Dynasty was a great 12, I think it's like 12 issue storyline in the Avengers where everybody was involved, like all of the Marvel universe. It was really cool, and I can see how that kind of was transmuted over into Doomsday, but I don't think this is going to happen. John, do you think we're going to see Kang come back?
Well, what I thought was interesting about his comments was when he said, I can't talk about that. That's an interesting thing to say, because it almost sounds like he's had conversations that he's not allowed to talk about, or maybe it meant nothing or anything like that. Look,
well, in Chair Watch 2, do you think we'll see a Jonathan Majors chair? I
do not, and there's a main reason why, and here's what it is. Now, first of all, let me say this. I think that while Jonathan Majors was convicted, it's important to understand this, okay? This is a very important thing that everybody needs to understand about Jonathan Majors' conviction, which was he had several charges against him. Some were much more minor and some were more major. He was found guilty of the minor ones. He was acquitted of the major ones. To put it simply, without going into too much legalese, what the jury and the legal proceedings concluded was that while Jonathan Majors did hurt that girl, it was completely unintentional. It was as a result of him acting a little too recklessly. What they found was that he had no intention of hurting anybody.
Right.
He wasn't intention. Look, you don't have to believe or not believe me. I'm just telling you that's what the case in the trials resolved, is that he did not intentionally try to hurt anybody. And so because of that, I think the guy like this needs to be given avenues to come back and do what he does so well. Right? He's a absolutely phenomenal actor and a phenomenal performer, and he absolutely will not and should not come back as Kang. But John, you just said you think, oh yeah, it's not because of Jonathan Majors that I don't think he should come back as Kang. It's because Marvel botched the character.
Yeah.
This is a failed character. He's done. All right? It's over. You don't bring Jonathan Majors back as Kang because you don't bring Kang back. Okay? You ran it into the ground. Like Rob pointed out, he's been beaten and killed twice so far.
By Ant-Man.
Once by Sylvie
yeah.
and once by Ant-Man and his ants. And this is the guy we're supposed to go, oh no, how are the Avengers going to deal with him? I don't know. Scott punched him in the face. That seemed to do pretty good.
You have such disrespect for ants.
It's such disrespect for ants. Listen, and they've already moved on. They've gone on to something that is much better. And look, I'm not saying that Kang couldn't have been a fantastic character. We were all excited when we found out that Jonathan Majors was going to play Kang. We were all excited, but they botched it. They didn't set it well, and they didn't resolve it well. And it just, you know what? They put it in the rearview mirror, and that's where the character needs to stay. They've now moved on to Dr. Doom. You've got a lot of hype and buzz and sizzle building up for Doomsday. You know, I don't think they should pull a Star Wars of somehow Kang has returned. They blew it, and they just need to move on. So that has nothing to do with Jonathan Majors, but I don't think, and again, I'm just guessing, I don't think we're going to see Jonathan Majors back as Kang because there's no reality in the multiverse that they should bring Kang back. It's done. It's over. You move on.
You pointed out he certainly could star as the big heavy villain in Rian Johnson's Star Wars trilogy.
He could star as the big heavy villain in the next Rian Johnson Knives Out movie.
Yes, he could.
That's the thing. He's the kind of this dude could do Othello, and I would go and watch it. I mean, he's just that good of an actor. He's fantastic, but Kang was botched, and they just need to move on.
Totally agree.
All right. What's up next?
Well, that's the story.
I think that's it, John. I think that we're
what about Did we not have the overreaction stuff
Oh
lined up?
yeah, I didn't know. You know what's funny? We usually split overreaction in the middle, and then I completely forgot about it. So,
Yeah.
No problem.
I was wondering. I thought you knew something I didn't, so I didn't want to
No. So
embarrass
a bunch of-
anybody
a bu-
live on camera.
A bunch of y'all sent in some overreactions. We chose the best ones, and here's the first one. Rob, we'll start with you.
Uh-oh.
Official SCW says Dune Part 3 will be the highest grossing film of the trilogy.
I don't think that's an overreaction at all. I think that Dune has only grown in stature, Part 1 and Part 2, collectively. I think those films have only made more fans worldwide. I wouldn't surprise me if Dune 3 opens bigger than either one of the first two and outgrosses them both. What about you, John?
I agree. It's not an overreaction. Like, again, I don't expect Dune 3 to be $1 billion film. I don't expect that. It's just got too much of a defined audience. But the movies just kept getting better and better. I think Dune 2 is the best film I've seen in the last 10 years. Timothy Chalamet's profile has just gotten bigger. Zendaya's profile has just gotten bigger. It's beloved. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't think it'll make more than the previous two combined, but I do think it'll be the highest grossing one. So I don't think your statement's an overreaction at all.
Not at all.
All right.
All
what's
right.
next?
Over to you, John. Is this an overreaction when we hear from Wizard in Common Room, who says 2025 is the year of DC, not Marvel?
Oh, that's not an overreaction at all. Like, look, I loved Thunderbolts. I think Thunderbolts was the best comic book movie of the year. And I really enjoyed Fantastic Four. And I loved Superman. But Superman absolutely, not only did it almost make double of what Thunderbolts did at the box office, that's not the important. The thing is, it was the headline grabber, right? It was the number one comic book movie of the year, and it started off the new universe so well. And on top of that, if you're just saying in general, DC and Marvel, they've also got Peacemaker out, and Peacemaker is killing it. And so, yes, for the first time, Rob, in a very, very, very long time, I do not think it is an overreaction to say that this was the year of DC over Marvel. What do you think?
I totally agree with you because this was, I mean, collectively, the three Marvel movies made more money, obviously, but this was an unseen new universe that had a lot was riding on the success of this universe. And we got Peacemaker, and we have Superman, and the promise of lanterns and Supergirl and Clayface. So DC's new universe it's been launched, it's gone into orbit, into the stratosphere, and I think it has a lot of momentum behind it, which is something that it didn't have at the beginning of the year. And Marvel's momentum is not nearly as great, although there's hope. But I think this was the year of DC.
All right. What's next?
All right, back to you, Rob. When we hear from, is this an overaction? When we hear from Joe 66 today, the average TV show is much better than movies.
I don't think that's an overreaction. Only because I think there's a lot of different TV shows, whether it's even a documentary series like Wrexham, whether it's shows like Severance, whether take your pick in terms of there's so many great things on different cable and streaming channels, HBO Max. I think there's a lot of really great, satisfying, dramatic documentary and comedic shows on television, on streaming.
I'm going to say it is an overreaction. Now, I do think the gap has narrowed a lot between television and movies. And listen, we are living in an age. It's great. Just before the show started, I was talking to Rob and Jonathan about how good Task is. Like, I'm really enjoying Task so far. That's the new one on, I believe it's HBO Max. That one's on. Anyway, and it's really good. And we got things like, not ER, The Pitt. We got things like The Pitt out there. Peacemaker's great. But here's the thing. I finally got around to watching One Battle After Another. That was really good. That was really good. It becomes an apples and oranges comparison because, and this is why I always say it is far more impressive when somebody makes a great movie than when they make a great TV show. Because with a movie, you have to introduce a world, introduce characters, introduce your scenarios, flesh those things out, bring in your conflicts and all that kind of stuff, create your character journeys, and then create the resolution all in 2 hours. You have to do it all in 2 hours. Whereas with a television show, like, and again, I'm not trying to pass it off that making a good TV is easy. No. I'm just saying making great movies is harder. With a television show, you can develop your characters over 7 hours, 8 hours, 9 hours, 12 hours, whatever. You can do all that kind of stuff. And it's just such a more impressive feat with what they do with movies. Like, there's a lot of stuff that I've seen great. I don't think I've seen TV in the last year that's as good as Sinners. I don't think I've seen any TV in the last year that's as good as One Battle After Another. I haven't seen Marty Supreme yet, but there's that. So there's a lot of great TV, man. I'm loving TV so much right now. But to say it's better than movies, no, man. I still hold that that's an overreaction. All right, what's next?
All right, we got Jesus with popcorn. John, is this an overreaction when he says the highest grossing movie of 2026 will be The Odyssey?
Absolutely an overreaction. Listen, The Odyssey is going to do real well, because if a period piece biopic can make almost $1 billion, which, talk about Oppenheimer, what is that same dude, Christopher Nolan, going to do when you move it into the fantasy realm with something like The Odyssey? It's going to do real well. But guys, come on. That is still the year that Avengers Doomsday is coming out. And it is pure fantasy to think that The Odyssey is going to make more than Avengers Doomsday. Now, if the conversation, Rob, was which one's going to be better, well, then that's a different conversation. But if you're saying that which is going to be the biggest at the box office, hell, it ain't going to be Odyssey. Matter of fact, Odyssey might not even come in second. It very well probably will, but it might not even come in second. So yeah, saying it's going to be the biggest box office film in a year that Avengers Doomsday is coming out, big overreaction. Rob, what do you think?
I completely agree. It's a total overreaction. I mean, C-Note, you never bet against C-Note, but this is not.
Is that what we're calling Nolan now? C-Note?
Yeah, he's C-Note.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that.
You got Jimmy C and C-Note. And look, C-Note he's a license to print money, but who would have thought Dunkirk would have made $500 million? No one.
Agreed.
But it did, and however, I think this is his biggest risk yet. Even more so than Oppenheimer. What's that?
More so than Inception? Or actually bigger risk than Interstellar?
I think so, because both Inception and Interstellar had sci-fi elements, and there were things in it that this is a throwback, man. I mean, going back to Homer, going back to I'm going to make a sequel to Troy. I mean, this is something that is this is a risk. And I also think what's really exciting for me is I think we're going to see some of Christopher Nolan's best work as a director.
I agree.
Because I do think we're going to see whatever this is. I think it's going to be really special. Is it going to capture audiences? I don't know. Historical epics. If anybody could do it, C-Note's going to get you to give those $100 bills to him. I get it. It's going to happen. But I don't think he's ever going to come close to outgrossing, as you pointed out, Endgame. We've got a new big Spielberg secret movie coming out. You have, Project Hail Mary, a movie that I can't wait to see. And we've also got Spider-Man, Brand New Day, coming out.
That's why I said it's possible that The Odyssey may not even come in second. So, we'll see. All right. What's next?
Okay, Rob, is this an overreaction when we hear from Mr. Miracle? Hollywood needs to shift their focus from action movies to comedy movies. In 2025, when everything seems depressing and boring, comedy movies are needed more than ever.
I would like to say, as an overreaction, look, I agree with you, but the thing is, comedy is in a very precarious position. We haven't seen, I thought, a movie like what was it? Road Trip? What do we love, John? The
Joyride.
Joyride. I thought that movie would have been huge. It wasn't. Bottoms, another great comedy. Raunchy. The writer of that has a series coming out.
Should have been big.
It should have been big. I think comedies are in a precarious position now because one, a lot of people don't think the same things are funny anymore. And I think it's really difficult in this day and age to bring comedy back. I'd love to see it come back. but I think it's an overreaction. You've got to give people what they want. What people want now is horror. They want escapist fare. And comedies, I don't think, are the way to go, at least not right now.
I mean, listen, I agree with this part of the statement that says we really need comedies right now. I agree with that, but the movie studios are not public services; they're businesses. They're in the business of putting out what people will consume. And the reality is, despite the fact that we have some fucking amazing comedy in the last couple of years, the audiences just don't go to see them. I mean, we're just not in that era right now. I hope that era returns. I really do.
Me too.
But I mean, you'd be shirking your fiduciary responsibilities as a studio if you moved away from your action stuff and started just producing more comedy. The audience has to show first that they're willing to support comedy. And again, when you get movies like Bottoms or Joyride, and there've been a couple of others that come out that are truly hilarious, but the audience isn't supporting it. It's difficult to justify a move to putting more of those out instead of putting out what the audiences prove they are going out to support, big action and things like that. So it's sad to say, but unfortunately your statement is an overreaction. All right, what's next?
We got our final one here, John, and we're going to throw it over to you. Is this an overreaction when we hear from Soiled Sponge? John Cena and or Jennifer Holland will be Emmy nominated for Peacemaker Season 2.
It's not an overreaction. Now look, am I predicting that we're going to hear John Cena's name read out at the next Emmy, nominations announcement when under, best lead actor in a comedy series? I'm not willing to put money on it that we will, but he's been so good this year and the show has been so good that I don't think it's an overreaction to think that he will. Again, I wouldn't put money on it that he will, but I don't think it's an overreaction to think that he will. I don't know about Jennifer Holland, although she's been very, very good in this season as well as Harcourt. But yeah, I don't think it's an overreaction to think that you could see John Cena's name getting announced for an Emmy nomination. I know, Rob, what do you think?
It wouldn't surprise me. Not at all. Both actors, I think, have turned in stellar work. I mean, I always look at the kind of show this is. I think Peacemaker faces an uphill battle simply because of what it is. A darkly sardonic superhero show that is wacky. And I think that Emmy voters might kind of look down their noses at something like that. It's not a Severance. It's not highbrow, even though we know it is. But I don't think a lot of the voting body could think it is. But it wouldn't surprise me if they at least got a nod. Put it that way.
Well, I mean, it would be, again, remember, this would be in the comedy category. Right. So he wouldn't be up against some of the mainstays that are in the dramatic stuff. So, yeah, it's possible. And all right, guys, that wraps up Overreaction. Thank you to everybody who sent in those statements. Keep your guys' eyes open for when we put out a call for more submissions for that. All right, guys. It's time for us now to move on to the most important part of our show, which is, of course, taking your comments and questions. But there's two things we have to do first. One is we have to say goodbye to me because I've got to go start up the van and keep driving because I got about 4 more hours I got to drive to get into Kansas for our movie meetup tonight. So I got to split. So thank you to everybody. We're looking forward to seeing you guys again. But the other thing we got to do before we get onto your live comments and questions that Jonathan and Rob are going to take is say thank you to our sponsor of today's episode, which is, again, who is it again today?
Zapier.
Oh, right. Sorry, I've got Mando on the mind.
Yeah.
Our friends over at Zapier.
Guys, we want to take a second to thank the sponsor of today's video, Zapier. One of the biggest game changers of the past year has been AI. But let's be real, just talking about AI doesn't actually make your day any more productive. What does make it more productive is finding tools to put AI to work for you. And that's where Zapier comes in. Zapier is the easiest way to take AI and plug it directly into the apps and processes that you're already using every day. No IT bottlenecks, no complexity, just results. For me, it's been about saving time on repetitive stuff so I can focus on the work that matters and I actually enjoy. And it's not just me. Over 3.4 million companies are already using Zapier to streamline everything from sales and marketing to IT and HR. With their AI orchestration platform, you can connect top AI models like ChatGPT or Claude right into the apps you already use. So whether it's automatically enriching leads, coaching your sales team, or even resolving IT tickets, Zapier makes it simple. Guys, join the 3.4 million companies already automating with Zapier and transform how you work with Zapier and AI. Get started for free by visiting zapier.com/Campea. That's zapier.com/Campea.
And we are back here to get into your questions, your queries, whatever it is you want to know, and whatever we can opine on. Right, Jonathan?
That's right.
We'll fire them up. Let's see what we got.
All right. First up, we've got Parker. Speaking on Timothy Chalamet, T-Shammy, as I like to call him, I could see him as an awesome. The question for the new DCU, also Chris Pratt as Mr. Miracle, would be my fan cast.
That's a good idea. I like both of those ideas. I'm a huge Mr. Miracle fan. If you're going to cast Mr. Miracle, who is Big Barda? That's the real question. But yeah, you know, his real name is Timothée.
Timothée.
Timothée in real life. But I'm not. I like, what you call him? T-Sham? What?
T-Shammy.
T-Shammy. No, those are both great ideas. I'm a fan. Well done.
All right, next up, Swanson Burgundy. For a while, I thought Stranger Things Season 5 was going to shatter records and become the biggest streaming launch ever. I don't think that anymore, as recent seasons of Wednesday and Squid Game were streamed less, and the momentum doesn't seem to be there. Am I crazy?
I don't know. I mean, I think that there is a real, you're going to see the marketing ramp up for Stranger Things as we get closer to the Thanksgiving season. I think a lot of people are waiting for this. I think that the hype train hasn't really started, but people love Stranger Things. And it's been a long road to get to the 5th season. We're talking about a decade of buildup. I think you might be surprised at how big Stranger Things Season 5 is going to be. But then again, I've been wrong before, as people want to point out that I said that Superman was going to make $1 billion. And well, it hasn't. Look, I'm right about 85% of the time. You can't hit them all. So you know what? You could be right about that, but I do think Stranger Things is going to be big, big, big.
All right, we've got Willoughby Sting, who says a trait that makes Spielberg the GOAT is his ability to make any type of movie. Is Danny Boyle, Trainspotting, Sunshine, Slumdog Millionaire, Jobs, and Yesterday the only other modern director with a similar ability to make any genre of movie?
Well, I mean, I think great directors can make any kind of movie. A great director is a great storyteller, and I think Martin Scorsese has made a lot of diverse kinds of movies. He made something like The King of Comedy. He made Age of Innocence, Kundun, Passion of the Christ, but he also made Goodfellas, The Departed, Casino, and Scorsese also made After Hours. So I think you're right, though, but I think that there's more directors out there, more of the masters. You know, even Danny Boyle is one of our masters because he's been around for a long time. Scorsese also made The Color of Money. But I think you're right. I think a lot of directors tend to specialize. And now we've got a lot of... David O. Russell has made many different kinds of movies. And so, I mean, Paul Thomas Anderson, I mean, going from The Master and Phantom Thread to Punch Drunk Love to Boogie Nights, now to One Battle After Another. Mm-hmm. Those aren't as easily defined as some other films, but
Sure.
I still think that these are...
Because they're not genre films.
Right. So I think that great directors can work in any genre.
All right.
I think.
We got Ben Bangs. Hey, John and Rob. Yes, it's great that lawmakers are protecting my sensitive hearing. You go, California legislators.
That's, of course, referring to our story yesterday about streaming commercials being louder. They're not going to be louder anymore. You go, California.
All right. Bry Guy, he's giving us, he always likes to give us like scenarios. So Bry Guy says Eric Kripke on an adult animated musical police procedural crime thriller series. That's a mouthful. focusing on reformed Disney villains. Think Archer meets The Blacklist, not Descendants. R-rated Alf movie reboot, or a bloody Powerpuff Girls body horror film. Well, I think that with the Powerpuff Girls, that's done, man. They tried that, and that was a disaster. I don't hate the idea of an Archer meets The Blacklist.
No, I actually think that's a great idea. I would watch the heck out of that. I mean, it's a little highbrow, you know, and I don't know if Disney would allow that to happen, but I would certainly watch something like that. I mean, Eric Kripke's a great creator, and it makes me want to go back and watch the first season of Heroes again.
We got JP who says, "Hi, John from Montreal. Absolutely love the show. Undoubtedly, the best ping pong movie to date is Balls of Fury with Dan Fogler and Christopher Walken. We'll see if Marty Supreme changes that. I think it's going to be more than a ping pong movie.
Yeah,
that's the thing. I think it will. You know, actually, so." I think in those terms, actually, I would say it won't supplant it as the best ping pong movie.
Wow.
Because that is specifically just a ping pong like parody. Marty Supreme is a character study. It's beyond that.
You know what, Jonathan? I'm
Which is the better movie? Marty Supreme will be the better movie.
Yeah, Marty Supreme will be the better movie, but I cannot disagree with my esteemed colleague. I think you're right. I can't see Balls of Fury ever being supplanted unless it was a movie, a foreign film that was made in, say, China. Balls of Fury is it. What a cast. So I can't wait to see Marty Supreme, but like you said, I don't think the focus of Marty Supreme is ping pong is the vehicle.
Right.
But the story has more to it than that.
That's right. JP is here. Hi. Oh no, we already read JP. Eddie Burton is here. Which movie releases in theaters first if you had to put money down? Ooh, Horizon 2 or Fast 10 Part 2, or as we like to call it around here, Fast 11. I think Horizon 2 would have the obvious leg up because it's at least been shot already, but I think W probably wants out of the Horizon Costner business. I think Horizon could find its way onto streaming.
Yeah.
But I don't know about the big screen.
I mean, you know what? I'm a fan of Kevin Costner as a director. I loved Dances with Wolves. I loved Open Range. And I'll tell you a story, and I go back to this a lot. I was in the theater on the Warner Brothers lot, the Steve Ross Theater, for the very first screening of The Postman. And I had read the novel that The Postman was based on. And Kevin Costner introduced the screening. And he walked out, and he was so excited, and he said, "I just wish that I could be sitting there with you in the audience right now and see this movie for the first time." Because obviously he directed it, he'd been in the edit bay, so there's no way he could ever have the experience of seeing a movie for the first time that he'd made. And he was so excited, and he had such enthusiasm, and I was such a Kevin Costner fan all the way back to, you know, the Silverado days. And I really loved The Postman. I really did. Is it a perfect movie? No. But man, there was this Postman backlash. And ever since then, I've always wanted to stand up and defend Kevin Costner. Not that he needs me to do so. And I like the first Horizon. And I would like to see Horizon 2 in the theater. I don't think it's going to happen because it ain't show friends, it's show business. And Horizon didn't do much business. So I think, though, it is shot. And I think we'll see it before we see the other. Some way.
Some way. Somehow.
Excuse me.
Simon.
Game day.
No, we got
that's
Simon.
another one.
I got a little excited there. I would like to see a remake of The Godfather, but I would like to see the Japanese or Russian version of The Mafia. I think this presents a few challenges. I think the one problem is that's fine. You can have it more like on a Yakuza thing or a Russian Mafia thing, but are you literally going to follow the same story beats as The Godfather? In which case it's like, okay, so why are we doing this? But it's the same. Is this like a multiverse thing where the same things happen, but it's just a different crime family from a different, national background? And you're going to make it modern. I think if anything, what you do is you do a modern take on The Godfather, inspired by The Godfather, but something original.
Yeah, I mean, I think both. There's been Russian mafia movies and certainly Japanese Yakuza movies, but if I was going to remake The Godfather in, say, Japan, I'd make it a samurai movie. But really, I mean, one of the interesting things about The Godfather is you could remake that story, but it's also the culture,
Right.
you know, and it's the time. I mean, it's not. It has
The
to do
era.
with the era in which it took place. But you know, the Russians. The thing that Coppola talked about in terms of The Godfather is that The Godfather is a movie about a king and his three sons.
Mm-hmm. It's King Lear.
Yeah, the idea about succession, and Kurosawa has done King Lear as Ron,
Right.
and like the Japanese remade Clint Eastwood's Unforgiven as a samurai movie, and you could do that, but I think that both Japan and Russia, the Russian mafia and Japanese stories, whether you're going to go samurai or you're going to go Yakuza and make it more modern, they have such interesting and rich cultures of their own. I would like to see the Godfather equivalent, but not a remake of the Godfather. What would be the
Right.
Russian equivalent of Godfather? What would be the Japanese equivalent of Godfather? And I dare say we've had shows kind of like that. I mean, Shogun is a very Godfather-esque story. But you know, it's not a bad idea.
Right. Well, and I think too, The Godfather was also the American dream.
Yeah.
And
I
then
believe in America.
And then, so you really do have to do a separate genre, like you said. Like, if you're going to do it in Japan or you're going to do it in Russia, I don't think you do it in America. I think you do it there at a different time period.
Yeah.
Based on their culture, based on their history. I think you're
100%.
right. Yeah, it makes it far more richer. Who do we got here? Seconds from, oh, okay.
Now it's game day.
Yeah, I got to find it, though. It
Game day.
bumped on me. Here we are, SB Game Day. Gonna watch Tron Ares today. You know what? I am too. I forgot about that. And then get ready for Peacemaker tonight. Any wild guesses on what happens tonight? Can't wait to tune in tomorrow with y'all. Well, we kind of answered that. If you want to quickly recap.
Yeah, I mean, John's big prediction was we're going to get Harley Quinn and we're going to have Chris is going to die. Peacemaker is going to die, you know, to atone for Rick Flag Jr.'s death, perhaps. You know, when John first said that a few minutes ago, I'm like, no. But now that I've thought about it, contemplated it deeply in the last 15 minutes, I think John might be right. I think Peacemaker might die. I think he's got sound reasoning there. And, you know, and Rick Flag Sr. is going to realize, is going to absolve him of the guilt of killing his son or something. We'll see. I don't know about Margot Robbie, though. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm at a loss as far as what the big thing is. I kind of felt like he stepped in it. I feel like he should have never said that to begin with. Because it's just like, what's big to you, mate? Like when it happens, we may be like, well, that wasn't big to me.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't know. Are we talking like Henry Cavill from a different dimension? I don't know. You know,
I still like seeing all of Zack Snyder's Justice League and the door gets shut on them. That's what I'm hoping.
Oh, you know what? You could do a Godfather-esque thing where it slowly closes the door on them
Yeah.
at like the end of Godfather.
Yeah, like on
Yeah,
Kay
yeah.
as the door
Just
closed on her.
fades. It's like a nice little wipe.
Yeah.
Okay. Seconds from Disaster. Okay. Came across this ad this morning that had me facepalm in laughter. It was the Deep from The Boys promoting the new Deep-inspired fleshlight. It's an octopus. Genius on Adam and Eve for the marketing. So was that like, is that literally Adam and Eve? And was it like teamed up with Amazon and The Boys? Or was
Wow.
it like an AI thing?
I don't know, but that's awesome because Adam and Eve is the brand.
Right.
That's really interesting.
It is kind of interesting.
I love
You know,
that.
I hated ever since he ate the octopus. I was like, you know what? F that guy. He murdered that octopus.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
I hope he dies. Okay. There are four lights. Perfect day for Rob to be answering questions. Rob, do you think it is more likely at this point Paramount does Star Trek 4 and continues the story of the 09, so the Kelvin cast, or do they just reboot the movie franchise? If you think reboot, how would you like it done?
Well, there's two possibilities. There is this Star Trek The Beginning, or the origins of the Star Trek universe that are going to deal with the beginning of the Federation or the Romulan War or whatever it turns out to be. There is that. And there's, of course, another Kelvin universe movie that they've been trying to make. There's so much money against the Kelvin universe, Star Trek 4, meaning that they've gone through a number of directors, they've written a number of scripts, and it's a very expensive movie to make with your cast. So I would imagine that, and obviously Skydance wants to make Star Trek a priority, and they've already made 3. Skydance paid for all 3 the Kelvin Universe films. So I think that would probably be their choice. But the problem is those films didn't really make money, not compared to their cost. And certainly Star Trek Beyond didn't. So I would imagine they might go with a reboot first. Of course, I could be wrong. And then, but that's what I would imagine, because your cast isn't as expensive and they don't have as much money against it already. The development costs are cheaper. What was the rest of the question?
Basically, what would you, if you think reboot, how would you like it done?
Look, if you're going to start a new Star Trek movie franchise, I would start from scratch. I really would. I would reconceptualize. I mean, look, part of the appeal to me of Star Trek has always been the universe itself. And growing up and having the original series, which gave way to the motion pictures, which kept that continuity, which gave way to Next Generation, which gave way to Deep Space Nine and Voyager and Enterprise. So from 1966 to 2005, the Star Trek universe was a living, breathing thing that kind of all had the DNA of Gene Roddenberry in it. And that's what made it fun. It was a fictional universe. You could buy all the technical manuals and the books. You could go to Memory Alpha, and it all kind of worked, and it felt like of a piece. Since the Kurtzman Secret Hideout era, all that's gone to hell. They didn't care about any of the continuity. Memory Alpha has been polluted by all of this gobbledygook, and they've tried to make sequels, or prequels. Discovery's a prequel. None of that works out canonically. Strange New Worlds, none of that works out canonically. They've changed everything. Then you have Lower Decks, which is basically a show that stars a bunch of Star Trek fans, which is fine, but whatever. Prodigy, I thought, was pretty good. What we need is a reconceptualization of Star Trek from scratch. Now, what I'm saying is we can have all those familiar things, but start again. Really start again, where you could build a new universe. Don't play this half-assed. Even the Kelvin universe, it's a different continuity, but we still have Spock. Or it's prequels that don't work because they don't have any interest in tying them together canonically to the old shows. If you want to do that, start from scratch. You've got all the elements, but begin again and rebuild the Star Trek universe on a cinematic level. You don't have to keep it in continuity. Start over and tell people, like, this is the same way that Battlestar Galactica started over again, or you have a complete reboot of the franchise using all the familiar elements, but rebuild it. That's what I would do.
All right, we got our last tip. Not proud of this. Says, forgive me for putting this out into the universe, but Minecraft is set to release the same day as The Simpsons. That means we could see Barbenheimer 2 Simpcraft.
I think all those dates are going to change.
Yeah. And I also think they're different audiences.
And they're different audiences, and I do still think the Simpsons is a placeholder till they announce the third Avengers movie that's going to come in between.
It does feel odd, doesn't it?
The whole thing is odd.
Yeah.
And now they have a reason to move both of those movies off their dates. And so maybe everybody knows something we don't. So when Avengers 3 from the Avengers triptych that no one's announced yet, but we're going to find that out. But they're both moving.
All right. Well, then that concludes all of our questions today, Rob. We did it. We held down the fort for the week, but this is going to be kind of the same format next week as John traverses America, goes into Toronto, Canada, and then makes his way back through Chicago to meet all you fine viewers and listeners.
And Indiana with the great Cody Miller.
Yep.
That guy is one fun dude to hang out with. Not only is he very nice, but he's a hell of a blackjack player.
All right. Well, you want to sign us out? We'll get out of here.
Well, Jonathan, I want to thank everybody for watching the show. I want to thank everybody for supporting the channel via their tips. We very much appreciate it, and all the questions and things that you send in. Also, the what's more likely, and of course, overreactions. Thank you all for giving us great, thoughtful choices, and we really do appreciate. You can watch many different shows on YouTube, and it's great that you watch this one. And I just want to say, if you live in the Southern California area, our new film White Devils is going to have a public premiere. You can buy tickets for it at the why am I drawing a blank? At the Gardena Cinema.
Yeah.
Gardena Cinema. It's going to be on Tuesday, October 28th, Halloween week, at 8 p.m. Look out for tickets. If you live in Southern California, it's going to be like a meetup, but we have a new movie that you have not yet seen. You'll be the first audience in the world to see it.
All right, and one quick addendum to the show. I missed one from Callum, but it's a quick one. Just says, "Hey Rob, as a physical media guy, do you have the Battlestar Galactica and the limited edition tin? Just got it on eBay for £30. Looks awesome." I don't know if he means the Ron Moore or the original.
Yeah, okay. I have the big box set. If you're talking about the Ron Moore Battlestar Galactica, I have the big box set that has it slides and it comes with the Cylon on the top. You can take it out. So I have the big box set, and then the regular Battlestar Galactica, I have a German version of it that comes in a box. So I don't have a tin. I don't know what that is. And then I have a separate 4K of the Battlestar Galactica theatrical movie, the original 78 Galactica. So
I want to go back and watch the old one for certain reasons. You know what? I got to talk to you about that because I have a little idea for a web series at some point. But yeah. Anyway, guys, sorry, Callum, we got you at the end. So that's it for us. So I guess we'll see you guys Monday.
All right. Monday.